It's another one of our talks at the SITS 17 show on the ITSMF stand. I'm delighted to welcome Michelle Major Goldsmith, all the way from Australia.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Just really talking about, I suppose, a little bit about your recent career. You moved to Australia 5 years ago, was it?
Yes, it is 5 years this year, so I'm actually now an Australian citizen, which is very exciting.
So are you allowed back into the UK?
I'm allowed back in. I had to go and get myself an Australian passport to make sure that I could go back into Australia, because once you're a citizen, they take the visa stamp out, which I wasn't aware of.
Okay.
So that's been quite interesting. But the opportunity actually came through ITSMF. So I was fortunate enough that somebody in Australia was looking for a service management professional, and ITSMF UK put me in touch, and the rest, as they say, is history. Yeah.
How do you, I mean, you're continuing to stay there. How do you find the market different? Because I mean, you're active here for a number of years. So, I mean, is it better? Is it different? Is it the same? How do you compare those two markets?
I'd say it's largely similar. We have the same wants, interests and needs, so all of the hot topics, whether that's SIAM, DevOps, Agile, IT for IT, people are still talking the same languages. There's a great deal of interest. There's also lots of very active communities there as well, so DevOps communities, and still service management, of course, is very, very strong. So I do find it very, very similar, which is great. You know, you've got the same people talking about the same things. I know typically they sort of assume that the Australian market is slightly behind, but I think in service management, actually it's very much up there, and people are excited about the current things.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of good people, in the community there that we know through social.
Absolutely.
And others that have gone over, people like Karen and so on, that, was active here, Karen and Brit. And it's a very kind of vocal community, I think, given the size of it. But from the point of view of what people are doing, so DevOps and Agile and Lean and SIAM, they're all
hot topics. And
are they separated from, because we still have a bit of a kind of siloism around about that?
We do.
Or do you find those coming together more?
I think it's a little bit of both. So I think the communities in the individual areas are very strong and very active. What I think is really great is that more, certainly in ITSMF Australia, we are very focused on making sure that it isn't just about traditional IT service management. So some of the stuff we've been doing lately has been all kinds of other practices. I mean, looking at things like Cynefin for problem solving, and as I say, getting more and more of the speakers in from the DevOps industry, from the Agile industry, rather than just the service management stuff. And certainly there's a great deal of interest in those kind of things. So, as I say, it's the same in terms of what people want and need, and I think broadening the spectrum of what we do through ITSMF is a really, really important thing, because you've got that active audience who's then able to get insight into the things that they hear, they see in the marketplace, they look on social media, and it's great to be able to bring that into the service management forum.
We're still, because we're doing a lot of these things as well, and changing focus and getting into the new stuff, and not just being about ITIL and all that kind of. But I think we still find that the name and the image, the brand, if you like, is still set, maybe not correctly in people's minds, but in the minds of particularly those that we want to attract, the younger generation. They kind of go, I'm not interested. Do you have that issue as well? Or?
We do. We have got a very active younger community coming in, though, from those other forums. So we're working quite closely with a number of different organisations to bring the younger people in. There's a focus, but also not just the youngsters. I'd say we're trying to develop that out into just from the business environment. So I've been doing a lot of work in the enterprise service management space, and bringing people that from the organisation that don't typically sit within IT but are still delivering services. So we're finding a different audience, I think. So yes, we're encouraging the younger people, but also people from the business community to see the practical benefits really of using those service management frameworks.
Interesting. Just a little bit about SIAM, because I know you've been involved in the SIAM project with Scopism and BCS and Exin. I mean, how was that for you? I mean, how were you able to participate in that from a distance, if you like?
That was actually one of the most interesting things, was how we set the collaboration up. And it was done very, very cleverly in terms of, yes, there were face-to-face meetings and traditional events, but what we tended to do was have a lot of almost duplicate, triplicate meetings, so we could have those conversations over time zones with different people, and then we did the collaboration online to build the documentation up. So that has been tremendously interesting, and certainly getting the opportunity to work with people that I might have seen through pictures or through social media but I hadn't actually formally met. So being here has been fantastic because I've been able to put the names to the faces. I've spoken to lots of people. I've certainly on the telephone or through social media or other online communications, but actually seeing people in the flesh and being able to put a face to a name is just lovely.
I realise we're all much older than me. We've all got much younger photographs on social media.
I think we all do that, partly.
So just going forward, I mean, you're working on the professional
yes,
part
so
of the
we're
SIAM.
Working on the next version. We had a face-to-face meeting, again a great opportunity for me to meet people yesterday in London. So we've just started that whole approach, structuring what the new version is going to look like, and really, really keen to make it a practical application to make sure the body of knowledge is full of anecdote and commentary and real life examples. So it was great to speak to people from lots of different industries yesterday and sort of compare some of the war stories that we're hoping actually to bring into the next version of the book.
Sounds good. I reviewed the first part and I thought it was very practical, very, very useful, which is slightly going against the grain for some of the publications that we have. But I thought it really was very practical, so I look forward to the next part.
Yeah.
But wish you well and
Thank you.
have a good journey back.
Thank you very much.
Nice
It's
to talk
lovely
to you.
to speak to you today.